There are many roles that the current president of the U.S. is in charge of. They include roles of the PUTAs. Current roles of the president include Chief of State, when the president inspires the people of the United States by awarding them or giving patriotic speeches. Chief Executive, mainly appointing jobs to federal branches like the CIA. He also enforces laws and writes reports that are given to him by different government branches. 3. Chief Diplomat, decides what U.S. foreign ambassadors should say to different country leaders. 4. Commander-in-Chief, one of the most important roles the president can have. He is the commander of the U.S. Armed Forces. This includes all the branches: U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, Air Force, and the Marine Corps. He can also decide what the military does. All generals and any other military officials take orders from him. 5. Chief Legislator. The chief, or the president, can influence Congress to pass new laws or veto them. 6. Chief of Party. Helps members of his party get jobs and other seats in the government. 7. Guardian of the economy. President has to deal with unemployment, economic stagnation, taxes, and other things. He does not run the economy, but is supposed to help it run smoothly and benefit the general public. How the presidency has changed throughout the years. The U.S. president has largely remained the same in terms of positions he has, but what has changed is the amount of power he wields. The United States today is a superpower, the most powerful country in the world, and plays a significant role in foreign affairs, so the president does have a large amount of influence around the world. In the beginning of the United States, the president only controlled a small colony with a population of 3 million, with an insignificant economy. But now he controls a nation of 300 million and the third largest country that has the biggest economy in the world. This means he possesses a lot more power, but still controls the same jobs.
The Electoral College was introduced to try not to give too much power to the larger states. During the early elections, the Founding Fathers thought that most candidates would just vote for their local candidate, thereby giving too much power to the more populated states. The Electoral College is a way to counteract that. The Electoral College works in a way that each state gets 1 vote per member of Congress. Each state has 2 votes for the Senate, and then 1 more for each member of the House, which depends on their population. When the citizens of the state vote, they're not actually voting for the president. They're voting for the members of the Electoral College, who will cast their official votes in December. As with most things, the Electoral College has its pros and cons. Some people believe that it should be abolished, and this movement was most prevalent during the controversial 2000 election. In this election, Al Gore, had been declared the winner over George Bush. However, the vote in Florida was so close that a recount was demanded. After the recount, Bush was declared the winner.
In the Francis Directory, many people were against the idea of having 5 executives. During this time, there was a Great Depression, war was going on, and a lot of the crops were being burned down. In result, the country was in debt. This idea focused on stability rather than radical change and showed little interest in regime, and this choice was very limited on how it can help improve the government. There are many positives for having just 1 executive. For example, in Federalist Number 70, Alexander Hamilton explains that an energetic executive branch must be characterized by unity, sufficient powers, and a certain degree of secrecy rather than 2. He then goes on that having 2 executives with equal power are eventually going to have differences that will eventually lead to arguments and many disagreements. Also, it will take a while to make decisions to improve this country. Having just 1 executive will make only 1 opinion and there will be no differences. Alexander Hamilton includes that this isolation will help make decisions more efficiently. Having just 1 executive will give him more responsibility to create a stronger country, making foreign treaties and make positive changes while working with the Senate. However, having just 1 executive will create too much power. Hamilton adds that in order to control the new powers of the single executive, the Senate is involved whenever the executive makes a veto or any decision. For example, the Senate can overrule the president's veto if voted 2 out of 3 from the legislative branch. Overall, Hamilton summarizes that having just one executive will create less arguments and increase his ability to make quick decisions